Road to Andalay is a fairly okay cartoon. This is a Warner Brothers cartoon from 1964. It's directed by Freleng and Hawley Pratt and written by John W. Dunn, and Mel Blanc voices Speedy Gonzales and Sylvester. And I have to say the setting's not that interesting. It's obviously set in a desert environment, which in itself is not a bad thing, but I feel like it's not the most intriguing in terms of how it's animated. We see with, for example, Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, where we have kind of a similar color palette, but they managed to make use of the environment interesting, whereas I find with this one it's very repetitive and not that engaging. So I feel like they could have made better use of the space and interacted with it a little bit better. There is one point where Sylvester's face down in the sand, which I have to say amused me, so it's not all bad, but I do feel like the backdrops were not as interesting as they could have been, and that's not necessarily the limitations of the backdrops and more just the creative decisions that they chose. This also involves this bird called Malcolm Falcon, which is a falcon, and Sylvester has enlisted the help of this bird to try and capture Speedy, and Speedy is obviously very fast and very smart, and will give as good as he gets. I didn't mind it. I thought including the bird was a better option than not having the bird, and just making it Sylvester and Speedy, so it gave it something a little bit more interesting. I quite like the design of the bird. I think it looks pretty good. It's got some really great facial expressions. So it was okay. It's definitely not my favourite Warner Brothers cartoon, not even my favourite Speedy Gonzales, but I'm not the biggest fan of Speedy Gonzales. The character, absolutely fine, but I just find the cartoons are not usually as engaging as some other Warner Brothers ones. But nevertheless, it's not too bad. I didn't mind it. The bit with the tails, there's a gag involving the tails, of Sylvester and the bird, and I won't say any more than that, but you'll know the bit when you get to it, and that bit I thought was rather well animated. Definitely some things about it that I thought worked very well, but definitely not a favourite.